So here we go. Today's video, we're talking about RGB portable lights, whether it be a tube, whether it be a little guy, or whether it be the Viltrox vintage 12-watt RGB light. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Specifically, why these types of lights really come in handy and why I actually currently own 3 myself, whether it be the Viltrox, whether it be Aperture, or whether it even be Light. We're going to talk about the advantages of these types of videos and specifically hone in on the Viltrox today, coming up next. So right off the bat, why would anyone want to invest in a light like this? Well, personally, I just have to say a lot of environments that I walk into, very, very boring. So a little bitty light like this, while some of you might be thinking, oh, is he going to use it to backlight? Is he going to use it as key? Not really. 99% of the time, I am purchasing these lights and using these lights for their RGB capabilities. Now, I will mention all these lights do get pretty darn bright, and specifically the Viltrox. Okay, so we're at 75%, and you guys can see, obviously we have temperature control. We're currently at 2500 Kelvin, but if we want, of course, we can crank that down by simply, you guys can probably see it here on the side of this unit, we have the ability to adjust our brightness. And with the click of a button, we can jump into our different settings, whether it be hue, saturation, or if we want to just go traditionally into RGB mode, which is kind of where I hone into, mainly because a lot of times when I walk into a room, I either want blue or I want some form of like a reddish color. I don't know why, it's kind of what I lean towards. And for a lot of my clients, they really like it. So let's talk about using the RGB lights more in a practical situation. You know, with just a flat backdrop, maybe some RGBs to the left and right, and giving you guys a glance at how you could take advantage of the Viltrox or any of these lights to light your background. Now, of course, we're using that Viltrox, and you can see it's making that background pop. But let's see what it looks like without that background. And now we have added that color. And you can see the Viltrox just sitting there. And moving on, let's go ahead and test out a different color from 0 to brighter. And you're seeing it in that environment and how it's able to bring that green. And at this point, pretty much overexposed. But other usages, let's fire it off a wall. And here we go. Go ahead and mounting it. And as mentioned earlier, we do have Bluetooth capabilities. So let's go ahead and put that a little bit to the test and kind of move those colors around and show you guys how it would operate within the app. Now, of course, we're going to have plenty of visual effects that you can use as well, basically to just spice up your scenery. And now you guys are getting a little bit of a glimpse at what it would look like from a distance, flashing up against that wall. Now, a light like this, one kind of client that I really hone in and use this particular light for is I shoot a podcast in a radio studio. And when you walk in there, it's just pretty bland walls. There's nothing on the walls. There's no real lights going on, nothing fun. So when I walk in, I tend to take this Viltrox 12-watt light on the ground, firing up at a wall is kind of my go-to for at least adding some color to the background of each of my subject shots. Because as mentioned, it's just a plain wall. And you guys are seeing some of the results that I get with the Viltrox or with the Light. Now, unfortunately, the Aperture, it could be used, but it's not as powerful. But I brought this one into the picture because it offers all the same settings as these two. Now, another feature that I really do enjoy about this light is also the ability to mount. You're going to have a mounting bracket on the side, and you're actually going to have one on the bottom. Now, why would this come in handy? I found that a lot of my handheld rigs, or when I'm filming bands and things of that nature, if I can actually attach this to the camera cage, or even sometimes put this on a ball head, this gives me the ability to have an onboard light now in my handheld setup. Now, this is a little bit heavier than I would want for my handheld, but at the same time, I have to admit, a heavier camera setup allows for a lot less shake. And I will say with the Lumix S5, the GH5, the Lumix S5 2X, it doesn't really matter. I get very steady footage, but sometimes I'll actually use the Aperture just because it's a little bit of a smaller fit. Now that's where this tube light is not going to excel. You're not really going to be able to mount this onto a camera. Now you of course could have someone above you holding this, or I'm sorry, behind you, holding it up and using it as a key light, but a lot of times you can do the same with the Viltrox as well. Now, overall, really the point to this video is just to say, I've been very happy with the Light, the Aperture, and specifically the Viltrox recently. Now, I do have to give a small disclaimer. This light was sent to me, but there haven't been any disappointments so far. And I know that you guys are not able to hold this in your hand, but it is built like an absolute tank compared to these other two. Now, one little disclaimer, and I do really enjoy these with these two RGB lights, is they are magnetized. You are going to be able to stick them onto things, which comes in real handy. Now, the Viltrox unfortunately does not, but as mentioned, they went ahead and gave you more mounting brackets, which I think can be a huge bonus. Now, I do have the luxury to not only own this one, but I own these other two, so it means I have some flexibility when I'm out and about. But for any of you guys out there, what I'm trying to get across is, for roughly $100 or under, you're going to be able to get yourself in a situation where you have some RGB lights that are going to be able to be used with your Bluetooth cell phone. And I really just think that instead of walking into these boring rooms with your client and just kind of doing what you got to do and not bringing anything to life in that room, I think taking a light like these and using them to your advantage, while some people would say, that's not practical, a lot of my clients say, that looks good, and that's all that matters. And shout out to Viltrox. We got this light, we got a monitor recently, which the DC 550, I've actually started to use that now more than my Shinobi. So Viltrox, 2 thumbs up in regards to some of the products you've been sending me. They have been used, I will be abusing them, and if they don't actually make it through the ringer, there will be more feedback in regards to what I did not like and what actually happened in those particular scenarios. But RGB, I don't know, it's something you should have in your bag just as a little bit of a tool to kind of elevate your videos. And most likely your clients, they're gonna think these kind of colored lights look really cool. I think sometimes us cinematographers, guys that do this professionally, we're overthinking it sometimes. I just find that the clients are happy and these types of lights will do the job. So I'm out.